Hey guys, welcome to the Learn with Sandra show channel. I remain Alexandra, your one and only educational guy. You know what we do here, right? We're all about education and examination success. Okay. So what are we doing today? Okay, so we're going to be tackling the 2024 WAEC past question for the subject English language. We'll be solving 20 questions, question 1 to 20. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so question 1 to 10 are questions under antonyms. Okay, so question 1, Abdul's contribution at the meeting was seen by many as invaluable, but the chairman said it was dash. Now, invaluable is underlined, so we are going to look for the word that is opposite in meaning to this underlined word. Okay, now before we go into the answer to this question, there is something I need to explain to you all, and that is the concept of faulty analogy. Now, faulty analogy is applicable to every other subject and field, but in English, this is it. When two or more things or words, right, look familiar, have something in common, right, we quickly assume or conclude that because of this similarity, it can be applicable to every other word or every other thing. Now, let me explain. The word insecure means not secure. The word insincere means not sincere, right? The word incomplete means not complete. The word inappropriate means not appropriate. Now, because of this similar pattern, we are quick to assume that invaluable means not valuable, and that is faulty analogy. So we are transferring what is applicable to A to B because they look similar in one aspect, and that is what the spelling, structure in plus the adjective in quotes. But invaluable does not mean not valuable. It means valuable. It means extremely valuable. The in intensifies valuable. We are saying it is extremely valuable. Same with incredible. Incredible does not mean not credible, because credible means something believable, right? So when we say incredible, it means it's extraordinary. It means it's hard to believe, right? So that is what faulty analogy does, right? And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is so that you can, understand where the problem lies, and this will better equip you to understand the word and internalize the meaning. Because this word, invaluable, is a reoccurring word in JAM, in WAEC. It is always coming out, right? So you need to understand the word and stop arguing. And frankly, I understand why it is up for so much argument. It's faulty analogy, okay? And thank God WAEC wasn't tricky about this question. Say, for example, you have, worth, you have precious or priceless as one of the options. You would have chosen it as your answer because you believe that invaluable means not valuable, right? So you need to understand that invaluable means extremely valuable. So option A, insincere, means not sincere. Useless means not useful. Impossible means not possible or able to happen. Preposterous means, something ridiculous, something that does not appeal to common sense or reason, right? So the best answer to this question is useless, because invaluable means extremely valuable. Okay. Question 2. So still under antonyms. Okay, the boy may be culpable, but his brother is surely dash. Now, culpable means at fault. So when we say someone is culpable, the person deserves blame. The person is blameworthy, or you say reprehensible. Okay. So option A, we have innocent. Innocent is without blame, right? Option B, ignorant, is without knowledge. Option C, accountable, is answerable. Okay, when we say someone is accountable, the person gives reports, explains and justifies something. Okay. Option D, we say honest. Honest is truthful, one who doesn't lie, right? So the answer to this question is definitely option A. Okay, innocent is without blame. Culpable is someone with blame, okay, at fault. Okay, so option A is the final answer to this question. Question 3. Okay, so still on the antonyms, the word is rigid. Rigid means not flexible, not bending, firm, right? Let me say wary. Wary is being cautious, being watchful. Okay, be wary of her. Okay. Option B, we see critical. Critical means to find fault in something. You can relate it to the word criticize. Okay. Option C, apprise. Apprise is to inform or to give notice. Option D, tolerance, we think of forbearing. Okay, to accept what someone says or does. Okay, and that is the opposite in meaning to the word rigid. As you can see in the context, one that is rigid of his opinion is one that is not bending, that is not changing. Okay, that is firm in his opinion, not swayed by whatever it is you say. Okay, while tolerant is someone that accepts and is inclined to whatever it is you say or do. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option D, tolerant. Question 4. Okay, so the underlying word is a fable. A fable means easy to talk to, easy to approach. We think of friendly when we think of a fable. Okay, so option A, guarded. Guarded is to be careful, to be cautious. We can see option B, also cautious, synonymous, right? It means to be watchful, to be at alert, right? Option C, suspicious. When we think of suspicious, we think of suspect, being in doubt, right? Now, antagonistic means opposition, right? And whoever is antagonistic is unfriendly. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option D. Okay, option D is the best answer to this question. Question 5. Okay, so the word is castigated. Okay, so castigated means criticized, it means to be scolded. Okay, so that is what it means. So option A, we have encourage. So encourage is to bring out courage, to inspire courage, right? Option B, exonerated, is to be cleared of guilt, right? To be free from guilt or accusation, right? Option C, commended, is to be praised, right? Option D, released, is to be free, to set free. So the best answer is definitely commended. Commended is to be praised, right? Why castigated is to be criticized. So because we are looking for antonyms, the best answer is option C. Question 6. Okay, so the word is eulogized. Eulogize is to highly praise someone. Okay, so option A, we have discourage. Discourage is the opposite of encourage, so it is to deprive someone of courage, right? Option C, criticize. Criticize is basically to find fault with something. Okay, appraise is to talk about the value or the quality of something. Then denounce is to condemn something openly. Okay, so the best answer to this question is criticized. Okay, criticize is to find fault, eulogize is to praise. So the best answer is definitely option B, criticized. Question 8. Okay, so we are still under antonyms. Okay, so the baby who had all along been calm suddenly became dash. So the underlying word is calm. Now calm means still, and in this context of a baby, we think of quiet also. Okay, so option A, restless. Restless is inability to rest, someone who is agitated. Okay, option B, hungry. Now hungry is desiring food or craving food. Okay, option C, angry. Angry is showing resentment, being furious. We think of mad, right? Option D, cheerful. Cheerful is full of cheer, in good spirit. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option A, restless. Okay, restless is the best answer to this question. Question 9. Okay, so while Ade is dash, his wife is quite self-effacing. Now, self-effacing is used to describe someone that is modest. So when we say someone is self-effacing, that person tends to, make their actions or themselves unnoticeable as a result of, shyness or humility, right? So we say self-effacing. That's what it means. Okay, so option A, aggressive. Aggressive is showing angry behavior. Option B, lousy. Lousy is used to describe something very bad, something awful. Okay, option C, conceited, is excessive pride in oneself or one's ability, right? Option D, unfriendly, is not friendly. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option C, conceited. Okay, conceited is excessive pride in yourself, right? While self-effacing is, concealing or not making yourself or your abilities or your actions known to people. Okay, so the answer to this question is definitely option C. Question 10. Okay, so this is the last question under antonyms. Okay, so Bakari is a prudent husband while Musa is dash. Okay, so when we say prudent, prudent is one who is wise, careful, cautious, especially with future plans or planning the future. Okay, option A, mean. It means unkind or offensive, right? Option B, extravagant. Extravagant is spending more than necessary. Okay, option C, thoughtful. When we think of thoughtful, we think of mindful, someone who is considerate for others. Okay, option D, mindless. When we think of mindless, we might want to think of one without mind, but in the real sense, it means senseless, being without intelligence, right? So the answer to this question is definitely option B, extravagant, right? Spending more than is necessary, and then prudent is being wise and careful about how you spend, right? So the best answer to this question is definitely option B, extravagant. Okay, so question 11 to 20 are questions that pertain to filling the gap with the best word. Okay, so let's continue with question 11. Now, the incumbent chairman won the election by a dash of 20 votes. Okay, so this is in the context of election or voting, right? So let's look at option A, surplus. Surplus is an excessive amount of something, and it is used in the context of economics, resources, right? So it's not the answer. Option B, consensus. Consensus means agreement, right? A general agreement, and it is used in the context of, group decision making. Okay, so that's not the answer. Option C, space. Space is gap, right? And it is used in the context of, physical area. Okay, so it's not the answer to this question. Margin means difference. Okay, difference by which something is won or lost. Okay, and it fits in the context of voting or election. So by a margin of 20 votes, the incumbent chairman won. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option D. 12. Okay, since all items on the agenda had been discussed, the meeting was dashed. Okay, so this is in the context of meetings and it sounds pretty much official, right? So the answer to this question is definitely option C, adjourned. Adjourned is to officially end a meeting. Okay, option C is the final answer. When we say dismissed, dismissed is to send away. Okay, and it is used for people rather than meetings. Okay, the students were dismissed after class. Okay, send away. Okay, option B, suspended. Suspended is to end or stop something, right? To begin later, right? So we can think of the word postponed, okay, because of the context of having to resume later, right? So the answer to this question is definitely option C. When we say dissolve, dissolve is to end a group, to permanently close, end a group, right? That's what it means. So option C is the final answer to this question. Question 13. Okay, so the police explained that all the aggrieved persons should seek dash in the court of law. So the answer to this question is redress. What does redress means? Redress means compensation or remedy for a wrong or grievance, and it is used in a legal context. Okay, now if you go to the question, you see police, you see aggrieved persons, you see court of law. So redress is the best answer to this question. When we say litigation, litigation is simply taking a legal action, and it's not enough in this context, right? It's not enough. It won't serve in this context. When we say address, address is not used in a legal context. Okay, address as a verb. To address means to, deal with a situation, deal with an issue. Okay, restoration is to bring back something to its original state, right? We think of restoration of peace, restoration of hope, restoration of health. So it simply means to bring back. Now let me paint a picture. Say for example, a woman loses her younger brother to a factory fire accident. Now the company claims that it was just a mere tragic accident. However, the accident could have been avoided if they observed some safety measures. Now the woman can choose to seek redress. If she does this, she's seeking for compensation for losing a loved one, right? Now the reason why I'm painting this picture is so that you can internalize the meaning of redress, because this word redress is a recurring word, right? In 2024 JAM past question, the word redress was under one of the synonyms question, right? And the options include compensation, appeal, and the argument was between appeal and compensation, right? So many students were arguing for appeal, and the answer is obviously compensation. Now what does appeal mean? Appeal is a formal request given to a higher court to review or change the decision of the lower court. Okay, so the answer to this question is definitely redress. Question 14. So this question is under collective nouns. Okay, so when we think of collective nouns, we think of group names given to people or things. Okay, so our principal has a large dash of cows. Option A says gang. Now we say gang of people, so that's not the answer. Option B, herd of cows. That's the answer. Okay, so option B is the final answer to this question. Option C, skein of geese, flying geese. Okay, we can also have a gaggle of geese. That means they are on the ground. So the difference between skein or gaggle is the position. Option D, flock of sheep. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option B. Question 15. Okay, so the first story building in Nigeria stands as a historic dash. The answer to this question is monument. Now, monument is a structure built to celebrate a person, an event, a period, and it stands as a symbol of history. Okay, so the answer is monument. When we speak of edifice, edifice is a large building, an impressive building, but does not necessarily have a historic significance. Okay, so when we say artifact, artifact is a man-made object that carries cultural and historical interest. Okay, they have historical significance basically. When we say effigy, effigy is a sculpture of a person. So the best answer to this question is definitely option C, monument. Question 16. I returned from the vacation refreshed and dash. The answer to this question is definitely option A, rejuvenated. It means, feeling young with energy, full of life and energy, right? So that's the answer. When we say revived, is bringing back to life, right? When we say reloaded, reloaded is to load again, and it would appear in the context of weapons, softwares or web pages, right? Remolded is to change the structure of something, the appearance of something. Okay, so the best answer is option A, rejuvenated. Question 17. She was advised to see a dash because she had an unusual skin disease. So when we're speaking of skin disease, a doctor that specializes in skin treatment, skin, hair, nails, they are called dermatologists. So option B is the final answer to this question. When we say cardiologist, is a doctor that specializes in heart diseases or blood vessels. When we say gynecologist, is a specialist in female reproductive system. When we say ophthalmologist, is a doctor that specializes in eye treatments, vision problem, right? So the best answer to this question is definitely option B, dermatologist. Question 18. Okay, so the doctor's dash was that the patient was suffering from cancer. So the answer to this question is option C, diagnosis. Diagnosis is the identification of a condition, right? The correct medical term. So we can see doctor, we can see the patient suffering from cancer. So the diagnosis was that, the patient was suffering from cancer. Option A, prediction. Prediction is a forecast of the future, right? Prescription is, the recommendation of the doctor on a particular medication or treatment, right? When we say analysis, analysis is a detailed examination of something. Okay, so the best answer is definitely option C. Question 19. Okay, so Tom's father gave him a valuable gift as an dash to make him work harder in school. So the answer to this question is incentive. Incentive is something that encourages or motivates you to do something. Okay, so it fits this context perfectly. Okay, when we say attraction, attraction is something that interests you. Okay, when we say interest, interest gains your curiosity, it gains your concern, right? When we say offer, offer is the presentation of something, right? So the best answer to this question that fits this context is option A, incentive. Question 20. Okay, so we have not yet heard the weather dash. Okay, so the best answer to this question is forecast. Forecast is used in the context of weather condition. Okay, forecast is a prediction or a report about the weather, condition, right? So I know that forecast and prediction are quite synonymous, but prediction is a general terminology. It's a terminology used to mean a general guess of what will happen in the future. Okay, so when we say broadcast, broadcast is an information transmitted through radio, television, while announcement is a formal information made public. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option A, forecast. Guys, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I'm sure you've learned so much, from antonyms to word choice to collective nouns. I'm sure you have something to take home today. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, or better explanation to any of the questions that we tackled. Let me know in the comment section. Till I see you again in my next video. Bye for now.